Would remind our speakers that there's 5 minutes on the clock, and our next speaker is President Bill Dobbins, Suffolk County Court Employees Association. Welcome, President Dobbins.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson. Thank you all for having me come here to speak tonight. And I just want to express to you, the reason I'm here is to express a major concern that we have. I want to convey to you the problems that our courts in Suffolk County are facing. And the best way to say it is the state of our courts are extremely poor. Morale is suffering. People are doing more work with less help, and that's been happening for a period of over 6 years. And it seems like there is no end in sight. The budget cuts from several years ago have really disabled our court system. The hard-working members of our union, the very heart and soul of the court system, are working with lack of appreciation, lack of help, and any sense of hope. Staffing levels have been so diminished that our courts are no longer operated in the manner that they should be, and public safety is deteriorating as a result. We are in crisis, and it seems as though we are spinning out of control. One of the major concerns in our courts is security. As the previous speaker spoke of, this court officer staffing in courtrooms. In district court, we currently are using one court officer in a courtroom. It's unconscionable that that is happening in a criminal courtroom, one court officer. And what surprises me is that, God forbid something happens. In the sense of saving money, in the sense of not spending a little bit more, we're waiting for something to happen. Are we waiting for the next headline? Are we waiting for the next mass shooting because we didn't have enough money to put more court officers in a courtroom? There's more sophistication out there today. Weapons can be secreted into our buildings despite the magnetometers, despite the line of defense at the front doors of the courthouse. We have titanium knives that are undetected by metal detectors. We have guns made out of plastic that can come into our courthouse and be used. There were speakers earlier today that spoke of the criminal activity in prisons. Well, there's no doubt that there's criminal activity happening in our courts every single day, and it seems like the administration just wants to ignore the problem. It's time that we wake up. We don't need another situation like San Bernardino. We don't need another situation like what happened in Paris. Unfortunately, the sense is it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen here. But what if it does? What are we going to do? We need more money to hire more staff. We need more money to hire more court officers. That would solve so many of the problems. Judge Marks spoke earlier about the shortage. And he spoke to us, and he said there's a class coming in February 29th, 150 brand new court officers. That will help with the staffing problems. Well, you know what? They're coming out in June, and Suffolk County has been promised to get maybe 15 out of those 150. The problem is that by June, we're going to lose 15 officers. So that 15 officer gain will not even help us. The hiring is not moving fast enough. The retirements are going quicker and quicker. We are losing staff. The courts are definitely not safe. And unfortunately, the judges in our courts are under the misconception that they are safe with just one court officer because they're being misinformed by superior officers. Misinformed. God forbid something happens. And I hope it never does. In the meantime, the courts throughout New York, and especially in Suffolk County, are foundering. Our back office staff is working exhaustively without any help. We have boxes and boxes of files in our records room, off on the floors, on the tables, just waiting to be filed or waiting to be worked on. Our foreclosure parts in Riverhead. I was out there 2 weeks ago. There were motions for summary judgment on those foreclosures dating back to 2011 and 2012. Not even touched. They're sitting on windowsills in the courthouse on Griffin Avenue in Riverhead. We're supposed to be public servants, and it seems that we're more and more public disservice. We're not doing anything to help the public anymore. It's about just getting by. What can we do to save money? What can we do to get to a calendar? If we want to bring a prisoner up from the cell block to come to a courtroom, we have to wait until other courtrooms close before we can properly staff a team to bring prisoners up to a courtroom. Sometimes attorneys, Assemblyman Algrav spoke early, he said he waited 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes for a prisoner. Ultimately, they get frustrated because they have cases in other parts or cases in other jurisdictions that they have to handle. Inevitably, they waive their client's appearance. So now this poor defendant, transported 33 miles from the Riverhead Jail, sits in a holding cell in Central Islip, hoping, waiting for his case to come up so that he can be brought to the courtroom. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Talk about a waste of resources. What did it cost to bring that defendant from the Riverhead Jail to the Central Islip Courthouse? What did it cost? We talk about saving money, and we're wasting money left and right. We're wasting it. But nobody looks at that. The judiciary budget talks about civil legal services, which is a great thing. We don't think it's bad, but we don't think it should come from our budget. We think it should come from the executive branch budget. It just doesn't seem right that the judiciary is paying for attorneys that have to argue before them. It just gives that sense of impropriety. It doesn't mean that there is, but it just gives that sense that there's something amiss. It doesn't seem right. And again, we advocate for it. We think these people need help when they're dealing with their civil issues. They're poor people. But we think it should be paid by somebody else. I urge you to pass the budget that was submitted by the Office of Court Administration. I urge you to pass it because we need the funding so that we can hire people, so that we can staff our courts, so that we can make sure that our courts are safe. We had a gang fight outside the court building. We have court officers, trained peace officers, with the ability to arrest. They carry firearms. They couldn't even go outside to attend to the problem. They had to call local police. A problem that could have been taken care of right then and there. It took 10 minutes for police to arrive. What did that delay cause? Did anybody get hurt? Who knows? Could anybody have gotten hurt? Who knows? The money has to be spent properly. I implore you to pass the budget, pass more, so that everything could be paid for. Everything could be paid for, because we've been neglected far too long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Dobbins, for that testimony. And as I said previously, we're very concerned about the condition in our courts right now. And it's very helpful for you and all the people from the court system who have been here tonight to hear firsthand your testimony in real-life cases and how that affects the people of New York State. So we appreciate what all the people who work in the courts do every single day. It sounds like a very difficult job, and we truly appreciate you staying so late tonight.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.